Now we have the rapporteurs from the breakout sessions that will give us hopefully very brief synthesis of what was said, and will allow a little bit of discussion. It is very tight. So first we have from Flame, and Anna Katavuta will give us the summary. Thank you, Anna.
Yes. Hello, everyone. So I have a little presentation, so while I'm speaking, you can actually see things and not get bored. So we have a lot of heated discussion, which is amazing because everybody is very passionate about it and about what they expect from Flame to come out. And this is very good because it means that people will participate to that. So just to have an idea, we propose that this framework for the Global Coastal Ocean Model Intercomparison Project will have 4 strands. And that involves, the first strand will be more like the common metadata that we have to use in order to allow assessment, diagnostic, and best practices. The second strand is involve more on how we can standardize model experiments in order to allow more easy intercomparison. The third strand is to maybe start having some very standard model regions and focus on specific coastal regions to allow the intercomparison. And the fourth strand is about data dissemination and communicating back whatever comes from this GCO MIP to the community and the end users. So the way we were envisioned to move forward is to start forming subgroups that they will kind of set up the protocol and how we should be moving forward towards the GCO MIP. And initially, me and Jason were thinking that these work groups can be divided based on the themes we had on Monday. One that will be on climate ocean dynamical downscaling, more involving some technical aspects on it. The other can be on the coastal estuary and urban downscaling. So when we start going very close to the coast, where other phenomena like interaction between waves, winds, tides become very important. The other one can be based on biogeochemical and ecosystem modeling for the coastal ocean. Not just modeling, but even the aspirations that we need, what we need to address this effect of climate change on the ecosystem in the coastal ocean. And the other one will be on data dissemination and communication back to the end users. So as I said, we had very many heated discussion. It was good. Everybody want to say their own thing and how this should be going, which it's very good because it will make it stronger. So the first discussion that we have is this the right process that we're actually going through the working groups and how we're envisioned to set this GCO MIP? The first point was that we need to clarify very explicitly the focus questions, like what is driving this GCO MIP? Should that drive be behind specific regions? Should it be, no, we need to introduce the uncertainty of what is going to happen in the future in the coastal? Or should it be driven by understanding? Let us first, as a first step, understanding the processes and how they will respond to climate change in the coastal ocean. We're not sure yet what's the answer, but that's what we discuss. Then the other discussion that had many opinions was, should we focus on standardization within this GCO MIP or flexibility and more and enable everybody to be included? And I think one of the answers here may be to have different strands that of experiments with multiple choices of participation. So let's say that a group come and say, I have available this, and this is how I do it, but I want to participate. Sure, you can participate in a more open strand, and then have some other strands that they're more well-defined, and some groups can say like, look, I'm doing the ensemble of experiments, and if you let me know what exactly you need, I can include an experiment that will allow the intercomparison with other people. The other thing is that there have been initiatives that they have set out such protocols for the open ocean or the Earth system, like the CMIP and the Cortex, and we should be learning from them. We should see how they did it and try not maybe to replicate, but get inspired by them. The other thing is that we discuss is, me and Jason had an aspiration for setting this working groups, but are we actually missing something? Should they be divided differently? And one thing was that we have to be cautious when we separating these work groups. What if they make decisions that they really clash with each other? How are we going to address that? I think that this could potentially be addressed through different strands of experiments with multiple choice of participation. But in any case, we'll have to think about that very carefully before we form these working groups. In addition, so one suggestion was to actually have the working groups mirror the strands instead of how I saw them before, the division being like that. And also we have to find the correct balance within these groups for the need to set the technical details. So there have to be some very technical talks and also get it right what we're going to produce in terms of what the users need. So the time scale for the development of this, the way we see it is that we will want to set this protocol within the next month to a year. So that's what will be the main focus for the next year for Flame, I think. At the same time, though, we can, for now, provide what we have already available. Many centers, and many of the groups, have already conducted projections in different regions or have the capacity to do more projections within other projects that they are emerging. So we should prepare a matrix, a document where we very explicitly provide what is available and what can be used by all the community or in the pilot sites. So towards the GCO MIP, it's a very long aspiration. So it will keep changing and improving, but we have to start from somewhere. Another thing is that we have to take into consideration the end user. What is their needs? There is no point for us delivering projections that they cannot be used. So one of the priorities is to have some targeted engagement with the end user to clarify their needs. So maybe we can invite end user and provide specific questions for what people are actually interested, like the way it was done for the Global Coast, where we at the pilot sites, where there was a very thoughtful process and provide specific questionnaires of where we should focus, what people need, things like that. And also, when we provide outputs, we have to think very carefully. Should we provide outputs in the same grid? I mean, a lot of end users, they don't care about technical details. They want to be able to use this data easily, like this data be easily usable and accessible. And we have to have very well-defined and meaningful metadata. And one big issue is where these data are going to be hosted. Nadia's vision for the cloud is amazing. So hopefully we'll be able to utilize it for the use of such output and projections that are going to come from the GCO MIP. So this is my last slide. So this is the aim that we have for the next year and the next steps that the Flame it will be taking and prioritizing. So our first priority is the engagement with the end users. We'll sit down and prepare a well-defined questionnaire to actually understand what they want in terms of outputs. So during the Flame workshop on Monday, we had some discussion about that. We learned some things, but we need to engage further. The next priority is to form the working groups, then provide the matrix of what is available already in terms of projections to the whole community of the CoastPredict, and also be able to deliver a zero draft, not DART, draft of the protocol, which probably is going to change, but at least we should start from somewhere. And I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna, for this comprehensive synthesis. No, wait a second. Is there maybe
a question, or is someone from the group they want to add something?
Or if someone, yeah. Okay, thank you, Anna. Let's move on, and then we have the predict on time. I'm not sure who is giving that. Giovanni, who is giving the predict on time? Okay. That's why I was looking at Giovanni, because it's okay. Well, we can go until we find Lorenzo. How about Viviana for Restore Our Coast?
Not in the breakout. And yes, in the breakout is not a presentation. Breakout cost restore our ocean. There is a cosa. You don't have? I will take my. Sorry. So, just few points, because what come out from the breakout session about restore our coast, the main thing is the involvement of citizens, of local communities, and community in general. So to have feedback from them and to try to involve them in decision making. And one of the most important things is that come out from the discussion is to try, and could be a useful strategy, to involve the community from the time zero when we start designing the project. We presented some projects, some strategic projects where we could involve, for example, because we are sometimes in critical areas where people have to survive. And so we have to try to put together the environmental conservation, the environmental protection, also with the human health and the, no, it's not this presentation. This is the other one, sorry. No, it's yes. Yes, this was. So it doesn't work. Yes, these were only few points that come out from the discussion. So citizen science community and local involvement feedback for decision making and the engagement of local communities for restore the ocean, but also for the conservation and the coastal, to try to involve them in the coastal resilience process. So the other thing that came out was the trust in scientists, because sometimes we have to discuss with people with real issues and real problems that and like climate change problems that can affect coastal areas. And so this is one of the thing is to invest time to build a real dialogical relation with the communities that will be involved in the project, will be involved in our environmental project and project for coastal resilience. So also try to stimulate and cultivate the community's interest in the zone where we are working through interviews, debate, open activities, and also involve them in the co-designing of the activities we are going to do. And this I already said, so the involvement of community from time zero when we start to design the projects, and so try to understand how our activities could help them, because one of the important concept was try to save the environment, but also save people, because saving the environment, maybe we will save also people that has very big issue on the coastal areas. So the other concern was to understand the socio-political, historical, and economical complexity of that area. That is one of the things in which we have to that we have to face when we go to design and to implement our project, to understand where we are going and the community, that's the complexity and the dynamics that are in that local area. The trust on scientists. We spoke about the low cost and citizen science activities and instrumentation and the involvement of community in the collection of data that could be useful for our projects.
But sometimes we have the problem of trust, of the real involvement of people, because they maybe don't trust sometimes in science. So low-cost instrumentation has an important role in the coastal resilience project. So also all the work that we will have to do in the involvement of citizens, also through the training and try to make them to understand the good practices to try also to be involved in the data collection. So these are the main concern and the main concept that come out from the discussion. So thank you.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
I have a question. I think more a comment maybe, or your opinion on the restoration activities have a time scale which is quite long, and they're very complex. And on one side, as you are showing, we try to connect them with the observing system, with the modeling system. But I think we need a dedicated set of experiments in different parts of the world that allow to get connect the observing community, the modeling community, and the ecologist and biodiversity that does coral reef restoration or mangroves restoration. So let's elaborate a bit maybe on this, how to do these experiments, how to measure the effectiveness of the observing and modeling system in support of the restoration, because
Yes.
it's very, of course, in addition, I totally agree on the citizens' engagement, because there is also the part related to conservation. I mean, once you restore, you need to conserve the ecosystem.
Yes, we started from them, from there, from also the, for example, Renovate project, from restoration project, and also on that was the concern was about the citizens or the community involvement, because we are doing something in the coastal areas that could involve also associations, fishermen, and all the realities that work there. So the discussion that came out wanted to focus on to try to involve all the community that is located in that area and try to understand together what would be the best solution for the project. But for sure, all the instruments that you are speaking about, so observations and modeling, and so also the digital twin that will help us to do this is fundamental.
Like to, yes. So I understand. I think I would put higher the question of using low-cost sensors for involving the population. That's one point. Second point is, what are the other tools? I mean, are you thinking about periodic meetings? I think that we need to develop the method, because otherwise it's too vast. We need to develop the way to scrutinize the population and see what we want, because maybe you want to get to the local governors. You don't want to go immediately to the citizens. Mm-hmm. You want first to go to the associations. So I would put sort of a white paper kind of idea that where you scrutinize what has been done. For example, living labs. In Europe, we have living labs as the procedure. And why don't we take some experience from that and we see how it can be translated into this? So some work on sort of an overall guidance or best practice for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Viana. So are we going to Lorenzo now? Or not yet? Okay.
You cannot use your computer.
It's okay. It's okay. If it is something. I'm going. Okay, no, let's, Lorenzo, no rush. Okay, let's, why don't we let you arrange with Oriba and we move to Coris? It is there? Okay, well. If you're ready, okay. Hot off the press, really.
Yes, okay. So, first of all, we had a very nice, interesting session on Predict on Time with very interesting presentations, from where it came out the extreme complexity of coastal modeling and how it is really necessary to use different tools to assess the risk, but also the, in general, dynamics in a multifaceted way and using a multi-hazard approach and evaluating a lot of very different aspects. In particular, we had presentations about the land-ocean continuum with key application illustrated, and it is here we see the different presentation that were delivered. So there were presentations that showed the importance of using several approaches in modeling the land-ocean continuum by. Okay.
Yeah, but he's talking about the presentation still. So there we could see them on.
But you mean the first page? This one? Okay, yes. So the one from Douglas Vieira was a very interesting presentation on the key application that they developed to model the ocean land continuum with also what-if scenarios. And this also highlighted the extreme complexity of the coastal environment and the need of using very multifaceted approaches to model the very different aspects of this environment. We had an illustration of the progress on the Focus project, with also the illustration of the development of what-if scenarios to essentially evaluate also the impact of a nature-based solution for the reduction of coastal hazard. We saw an interesting presentation about the digital twin that is being developed at CMCC with a more and more reliable representation of processes like the combination of circulation and waves, because we can see that along the coast, the waves have a very important impact on water levels and on coastal erosion and on coastal flood. And also we can propagate the hazard coming from the sea towards the land, modeling the flood. We had another very interesting presentation about early warning systems that also highlighted that the thing is not just scientific, it is also a matter of integration between different states, between different systems, and also a problem of social, the awareness of the population to the risk that there can be. And so this was an extremely interesting session. Scorro giù questo, e infatti volevo vedere i vari punti. And then the points. here. So essentially, then the discussion focused on 4 points. The first is about the development of the preparation of a white paper on predict on time, which must focus on the necessity of coastal observations for coastal modeling, because clearly another issue in coastal modeling is the lack of observations that we can use to calibrate or train models. If we essentially also use AI approaches, we need a lot of data to calibrate the models, and very often we lack them. And for this reason, improving our observational system along the coast is really a crucial steps from any point of view. The necessity of also considering the coastal hazard in a multi-hazard approach, because the coasts are at the interface between different systems. So we have hazard coming from the land, hazard coming from the sea. And for this reason, we need this kind of multi-hazard approach. Also, AI is supposed to have a very big role, because we also saw in the presentation from Douglas that the numerical models are extremely expensive from a computational point of view, and very often just crossing the data, just learning from the data, we can attain models that are extremely reliable and cost-effective, just using AI. And finally, given that the problem of predictions is not just about science, but it is also about people, it is also about protecting assets and lives, it is right to involve more and more in this kind of research stakeholders and users, and to foster the engagement with third parties. We also spoke about the essentially disseminate the goals of predict on time by essentially in conference, by organizing dedicated sessions in different conferences. And in particular, we already have a dedicated session at AGU, which was quite successful. But we also should do this in other contexts. And there were a lot of ideas that were proposed. In particular, the AGU, IWMO, there is a conference. CoastPar. And also the name is wrong. So
can I say also IWMO, the deadline is quite short. So people should, maybe we could write that with the secretariat, if you disseminate this. IWMO is really important, another modeling group. AGU is much farther down the line.
okay. Yes, this is just a series of ideas that were mentioned. Or this CoastT, the IOC Carab, which is a conference proposed by Edgar, and the ECA 2025. And also there should be, we already were engaged in organizing training, as Nadia presented this morning, but essentially this activity must be developed further. And finally, we can mention the document that is being prepared about the menu of solutions. That is a document that aims to summarize the possible solutions, the possible directions of development of the coastal research.
Okay, Lorenzo, thank you. Very nice. Very busy.
Yes.
May I suggest that by the end of the global coast, you decide the group that will start the drafting of the white paper?
Okay. Okay.
Because otherwise, I mean, all the rest of the people will be invited, but you need
Okay.
to have 4 or 5 people that will put into action this. It's a very important white paper because it will be. And please, please don't say that AI saves the computer time. AI, no, because that's not the reason.
Yes.
The
you're
reason
right.
is that it does better.
It is true. So
Okay, with that, Jay, last
Yeah,
question. Last question or comment from Jay.
okay.
I don't know how I follow on Nadia's comments.
Please go
Impossible.
ahead.
On your list of workshops and conferences and other things, those are science conferences, and I wonder if we don't need some engineering activities and sensors and other things that we should be focusing. And there is a conference, Oceans Conference, which is going to be in Brest toward the middle end of June, that we really should be participating in and contributing to.
No, it's another one.
No, Oceans Conference is,
It's a more engineering
No.
conference. Yeah, it's a
Sorry.
different, it's the same time, unfortunately, in some ways, but it's also in Brest. Yeah, at
Yeah.
the same time. Okay,
Okay.
please, let's wrap that up. Thank you so much. Let's move on to Coris and I guess Donatello. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we have a very interesting discussion in this session with the aim of gathering some of the feedback about the global coast infrastructure. So there have been some presentation from Miguel and Jay about first about the Coris infrastructure, and then about presenting like the main mission of the more general infrastructure. What we try to do with the audience is try to get some feedback about what is the key mission that infrastructure need to support, what are the top priorities, and what are the challenges when moving to a global scale, as well as targeting some of the potential user stories. For gathering the feedback, we used a few Slidos. I think it was pretty interesting because there were also some comments that it's important to kind of try to get the requirements from the user. So of course, the results that we get are based on the audience of the session. We had around 12 or 13 people, and most of them had a technical background, and maybe just a few were kind of users. So one of the first questions was about the mission of the infrastructure. These were a few missions that were identified, and we asked the audience to rank them according to their point of view. So they're kind of balanced. That's at least the first three about having like a global and local analysis and forecast in an accessible way, having an interoperable platform, also accelerating the collection of data by using standards and the best practices. But we also decided to ask the audience if there were some points that we were kind of missing. So among these, some of the points which were more suggested by the audience were about use of best practices, about training, so that the user can use this cloud solution and also the accessing of the data in an easy way, as well as supporting data analytics and AI use case, and also like providing support for the decision tools. Besides that, we also ask about the top priorities from the infrastructure. So we provided here also a list of priorities, and these were ranked in a different way. So apparently, the two most important ones were about the sharing the space, the computing resources, as well as the possibility of having the software to be moved easily on different nodes by using containers. Of course, this is somehow comes out from the audience that we had, since they were like kind of more technical. They were focusing on these aspects, and also in this we also asked for other priorities and challenges, and among these, some of the priorities that were mentioned multiple times is still about the best practices, as well as like standards and training material, like to in order to use the services and the solution easily. Then we move to trying to gather user stories. So this is just a few examples that were provided. One of the feedback that came out, that of course, the user stories will not only, of course, target the physicists, for example, or the scientific users, but also like people from a more economic and social background. So just to recap the main feedback from the discussion that we had, one of the points that was raised is that the use of this service was, of course, nice, but maybe we should need to share this survey also with the different pilots to collect feedback from a broader group, so we can get maybe a more comprehensive view of all the technical challenges. And there's also this importance of having best practices and standard, which was not one of the main points that were anticipated, as well as having the documentation and support for training. And there was also some discussion about the discoverability of data and model, since there will be a lot of data to be kind of considered, and there must be some way to understand what data is available. There was also some discussion about the support for remodeling, which seems something that the infrastructure should support as a type of use case. And we also had a bit of a discussion on scalability issues. We were thinking both at the level of a local node, so there can be some scalability issue in terms of infrastructure, how much storage space we need, how much computing capabilities we need, but also when thinking at a global scale. So how do we scale this infrastructure, taking into account multiple nodes, maybe with different computing infrastructures. And then when from the user stories, we got feedback that we also have to take into account maybe users with a non-scientific background, so to provide an easy way to access the data, and like, for example, through visualization, as well as including resources for supporting social and economic information. And so this was just a few of the feedback. Of course, some more discussion on the infrastructure is needed, and this is ongoing at Miguel, and also the involvement with EGI, as well as CMCC. So these are the main points.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there any question or comment? Okay, thank you.